Everyone is not your friend. My associate, my colleague, duration does not equate to friendship. In front of her friend, she acted like she didn't know me. I won't make that mistake again. Oh, I messed up again. Well, eventually, I later found out she engaged in. If you are too much for people, that just means they need to find one. Like I wasn't going to do that. The amount of confidence, the amount of self-love that you have for yourself can intimidate people, but that's a story for another time. For one day, I was leaving school. The fact that you said that, did he bring all 12 disciples with him up that mountain? No. Said, because you said no. You are setting boundaries for yourself. No is a full sentence. Mwah. Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. On this video, I'm going to be talking about my 5 most important life lessons that I have learned from being in middle school to high school. If you would like to see more videos like this, please let me know. And if you have any other video recommendations or other types of video ideas that you would like me to do more on this channel, just let me know. I will definitely tap into it. And before we get further into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for post notifications to be notified anytime I upload a new video. Let's get started. The first life lesson that I have learned was everyone is not your friend. And I learned this in, I would say 7th grade is when I learned this. Yes, definitely 7th grade, because if you think about it, elementary school, like we're so naive and so innocent at that time. So just because like I may have played with let's say Victoria, like I played with Victoria for 5 minutes during recess, and automatically that's my new best friend. Or I played tag with these new girls I've never talked to before, and now we're automatically best friends. So in elementary school, if you really think about it, that's just that pure innocence. So anytime we talk to anybody, or anytime we play on the playground with a classmate, they're automatically our friends. So we notice a lot, especially when I would talk to my younger cousins, and even my brother as well, who's also he's leaving now, he'll be in middle school, but when he was in elementary school, he was the same. We're like, oh, like I made 10 new friends today. So it's quite natural to think, oh, everybody's your friend in elementary school. But as we get older, you have to be cautious of who we call our friends. Instead of, and this is something that I've had to do for myself, but instead of when you meet somebody, oh, like now we're friends, call them associates. There are other words that you can use to describe somebody that you may be close with. You may not necessarily identify them as your friend just yet, but oh, okay, they're cool. That's my associate, that's my colleague, that's my, she's a good classmate, he's a good classmate. And so there are other words or there's other terminology that you can use to describe someone who you may be, getting to know, or you're getting acquainted with, that may not necessarily be your friend. The second life lesson that I've learned is that duration does not equate to friendship. How long you know somebody does not equate to a strong friendship. I had a friend of mine we knew each other since 3rd grade, and so we were friends for about 6 years until this previous school year, when I went into my 9th grade year of high school. When I went into my 9th grade year, I didn't really know anybody. I didn't go to the middle school that a lot of the kids went to until this one specific girl that I knew, who I was friends with for 6 years. I was super excited to see her going into high school. So I was at lunch one day and I saw her and I was so excited, and I saw her in the lunch line. So I was like, in high school, the lunch line is long. So a lot of people do, like they'll have their friends in the lunch line. You can just kind of like jump in there with them, or kind of like meet them where they are, and you know what I mean, like you kind of like stand in line with your friends, that kind of stuff. So I saw her and I was like, oh my gosh, like we have the same lunch. I was so excited, and I stood by her, and she was with her other friends, her like old, like high school friends that she had, I don't know, but her high school friends. And I was so excited, and mind you, we're the same age. So I was like, oh my god, yay. And I just stood by her, and I was all excited, and she was just like, she, in front of her friends, she acted like she didn't know me. Like, it was, at the time, like in that moment, it was a little hurtful. I'm not even gonna lie, it was hurtful. I think just because the fact that, wow, like I knew this person for a long time, and especially what caught me off guard was the fact that, like, oh, I never thought she would, you know, do something like that. But this girl acted like she did not know me.
Wait a minute, who are you?
And told me I was skipping, and was like, you know, you need to go back to like the back of the line, whatever, like you're not gonna cut in front of me and my friends. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna stay. I thought, I really did think she was joking, but she was like she was, that girl was serious. She was like, no, like get in the back of the line. So yeah, I just left it at that. And this was like probably the first week of school. And so yeah, it definitely, in that, at the time, it did definitely hurt, because for one, this is like one of my only like close friends that I kind of knew at the high school. And because I knew her for a long time, I was like, oh, we're gonna be, you know, we're locked in, this is my friend. But I'm telling you right now, people do switch up. So just because you're friends with somebody for a very long time does not equate to having a strong friendship. And I definitely learned that. I definitely learned that this year. And I won't make that mistake again. So now I know. But yeah, lesson learned. The second life, not the second, I messed up again. I messed up. The third life lesson that I've learned, I would say, be cautious of how somebody moves before you start a conversation with them. You guys are not ready for this one, because I'm trying to come with the hard ones. But I feel like I definitely learned this in middle school and 8th grade. So a little background story. I was at this new school. I transferred middle school. I went to 3 different middle schools, okay? And so leaving the middle school I was in the middle school in the beginning of 8th grade year, and I transferred to another middle school the end of my 8th grade year. And so, you know, I was just kind of like settling in. There was a new girl. She had transferred to that same school around the same time I transferred to that school as well. And I know what it's like to be new, and I was like wanting to introduce myself without really being cautious of how she was moving on her first day. I was like, hey, my name's Malana, what's your name, blah blah blah, like, you know, small chat. And so eventually I later found out she was using that USB. I later found out she engaged in USB activities. She liked flavored air, and she did some other things related to that, but maybe a little worse. Yeah.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And she was also very problematic and was always the center of drama. And then I'm trying not to say too much, because I also would like to do a separate video where I kind of get deeper. Like, if you guys want to hear some like stories, I could so do like like story time, but this is not that type of video. But all I'm just saying, I said all that to say, you just have to really be cautious before you, and especially if you're like me. I'm an extrovert, so I love introducing myself to people, but sometimes you do have to watch how people are and how they move and how they interact with others and just the person that they are before you decide, hey, like I want to, you know, talk to them as well. Because sometimes you could be getting yourself into a situation that you had no business, or you never was meant to be in the first place, but because you engage yourself or started conversation with the wrong people, you end up suffering the consequences. I'll leave it at that. If you are too much for people, that just means they need to find less. If you guys have noticed, I have this quote in my bio. I have this statement in my bio. I stand so firmly on this. As someone who went into middle school, I was not your typical teenager. Like outgoing, extroverted. I was always very kind. I did not curse. I wasn't dating in middle school. I wasn't in drama. And not to sound cocky or conceited, not in that type of way, and I say this in the most humblest way as possible, I was in a league of my own, especially in middle school, and I think now in high school it's the same way, but I was definitely in a league of my own. Middle school, I was very mature for my age compared to my counterparts. Yeah, I was very mature. I didn't entertain foolishness. I constantly like to try different things. I was never really afraid, and I still am this way too, but I've never really been afraid to like try different things. I love to learn different things. Like a couple of summers ago, I learned how to crochet. I just like doing different things. I do hair, braiding. I've just always been very, I think, not adventurous, like more spontaneous. Like I'm up for it. Like, let's just go. And and also I was also very confident. Like I still am, but especially in middle school, I wasn't the type of person who was going to talk down on myself, talk down on others to make myself feel better. Like I wasn't going to do that. Like I would sit with my peers at the time, and they would talk down on themselves, and then they would want you to say something like, oh, are you gonna say something bad about yourself too? Like, no, like I'm good. Like I love myself. And so people really just, I feel like also that confidence can really intimidate people. Like the amount of confidence, the amount of self-love that you have for yourself can intimidate people. But that's a story for another time. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. If you are too much for people, then go find less. And I would go to school dressing nice, smart. I was in honors classes. I remained on the honor roll. My GPA was pretty high. And in school, I would always smile, especially middle school, high school, but you would always see me smiling. I'm always very cheerful. I remember one day I was leaving school, and one of my guy friends at the time, I remember him telling me, like, you think you're better than everybody. And I had like girls tell this to me too later on, but he was one of the first people who told me this, like, oh, you think you're better than everybody, you think you're all that, you think, you know, like, no, I don't think I'm all that. You think that I'm all that, because I'm not gonna, like, no, I don't think I'm better than anybody. But the fact that you said that, it kind of just shows your insecurity that you think I'm better than you. And I never said that. That never came out of my mouth. If they can't allow you, whether that is you in powerhouse mode, you in leader mode, you in boss mode, if they cannot handle you, the authentic and genuine you, then maybe they just need to find less in that. Maybe you're too much for them. And guess what? That's okay. And I promise, guys, this is not sounding cocky, but this is just something that, like, it's true. everybody is not going to be on your level. It's not a mean thing. It's not a cocky statement. It is not a conceited statement. But the fact that I think you have to know now, everybody is not going to be, you cannot take everybody where you're going. When you want to do great things, but you're hanging around people who are always speaking negatively upon those or always trying to minimize things that you do, leave them where they are. Let them find less. Because if you're too much for them, then they need to go find less. And that's what I have in my bio. But yeah, so instead of trying to bring people where you are, just leave them where they are. Let me preach to you guys for a little minute. When Jesus went up the mountain, he had 12 disciples. Did he bring all 12 disciples with him up that mountain? No. And it's not that he didn't love those 12 disciples. It's not that he thought one was better than the other. He just knew he could not bring all those disciples with him up the mountain because he could not take all of those people where he was going. If you're going at the peak of the mountain and okay, let me get in the frame. But if you're going at the peak of the mountain and you have 12 disciples, you think you can bring everybody up there with you to the top of the mountain? No. Everybody cannot go to the places that you are going. So you cannot try to bring people to your level when they're not ready for that just yet. You can't. Long story short, everybody's not on your level. And that doesn't say that they aren't wonderful people, but if you're too much for people, that just means that they need to go find less. I hope I explained that well. But yeah, this may be my last lesson that I've learned for this video. Be okay with saying no. Listen, especially if you are a little bit of a people pleaser, whether you're in middle school, high school, know how to be, before you can listen to other people's feelings and their emotions, listen to your own first. If you don't want to go somewhere, if you don't want somebody to do something, if you don't feel comfortable with this happening or this taking place or somebody saying this to you, whatever the case may be, know if you don't feel comfortable with whatever that circumstance, wherever that situation may be, whatever it could be, learn the power of saying no. But sometimes when you have friends, you kind of want to I'm saying this sometimes, like sometimes it's natural for somebody to want to appease to them and also I guess not hurt their feelings, but they're not your real friend if they can't understand when you know or when you don't want to do something. If they get upset because you said no, or because you said no, like, no, I don't want you to touch my hair, or no, this or no that, if they don't like that and they get upset simply because of the fact that you are setting boundaries for yourself, if they have a problem with that, that's their problem. Maybe that wasn't your real friend to begin with. So yeah, be firm on how you feel. Listen, no is a full sentence. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. And yeah, I hope I said something that resonated with you today. And yeah, but this is the end of this video, unfortunately. Sadly, we're departing, but we'll talk again soon. Mwah. Bye.
Only been a few hours, but it feel like days. Only been days, but it feel like months. Been gone for a year, only know like once. Life move fast when you do what you want.